Yes.
So why did you vote? So why did you? So why did you vote for the guy who still hasn't conceded the 2020 election
and hasn't provided evidence
and hasn't provided any evidence? Since you care so much about evidence, why did you vote for that guy? David. David is next up on PTL. Hey, David, what's going on?
Oh, hey, thanks, Brian. In regard to the Jeffrey Epstein files and everything, I agree that it's pretty evident that Trump is likely a part of it, and he wants to keep it. You know, he doesn't want to talk about it, and the people under him are hypocrites for saying they want to release it, and now you're looking at it, and now they're not doing it. And my question to you and your co-host, Leonard, I believe his name is,
yes.
If during the election season last year, why do you think a lot of Democrats weren't pushing to get the Epstein files released if they presumably thought Trump was on them? Because wouldn't that most likely have sunk his campaign?
That's easy. Start looking at some of the famous people that are probably on that list.
Yeah.
And the friends of Hollywood and the friends of Democrats, just my opinion.
So, David, first of all,
that's exactly my point.
I've been okay, but you voted for Donald Trump. So, I mean, you voted for a guy who's probably in the Epstein files. So, I mean, where's your credibility on this issue? I wouldn't vote for Bill Clinton, and I wouldn't vote for anybody that's on that list. And I'm sure there are Democrats that are on that list as well. But that doesn't excuse the fact that Donald Trump is the president of the United States. He was once best friends with Jeffrey Epstein. He was on the flight log 7 times, and that's the guy who you voted for, David. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. But my point is that I haven't seen any direct evidence that he is on it. Now it seems like
then why is he not releasing it? Why is he not releasing them then? Why are they not releasing the files?
Well, as I've already explained, because he's likely on them as is.
Okay, thank you. So we agree. Why did you vote for him then if you knew that he was most likely on this list, that he was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein? Why would you vote for someone that you think most likely is a child predator?
Well, because I haven't seen any significant direct evidence.
Then why would you say most likely? Then why did you say most likely just now then?
Because he most likely is, again, as everybody else is. And I'm not saying that to disregard.
Everybody? So Joe Biden? So Kamala?
Well, no,
hold on. Hold
on.
Was Kamala Harris most likely on the Epstein Island? You said most people.
Most likely
no idea.
Okay, all right. So you didn't vote for.
Well, you're dealing in absolutes.
No, I'm not.
When I say everyone, I don't
doing what you're doing.
No, I'm not. I'm giving you an example. Kamala Harris was never best friends with Jeffrey Epstein. She never associated herself with the Epstein. You and I agree Donald Trump is most likely in the Epstein files. You decided to vote for somebody who is most likely, your own words, a child predator because you have to show me the evidence. You just said most likely.
He admitted that he went and stared at 15-year-old girls in the Miss America contest. He admitted he went in the dressing room.
Okay, so David, were you asking that of Donald Trump every single day to this day when he says he won the 2020 election? Were you saying you have to show me the evidence, sir?
Yeah, I was. Yes.
So why did you vote? So why did you vote for the guy who still hasn't conceded the 2020 election
and hasn't provided evidence
and hasn't provided any evidence? Since you care so much about evidence, why did you vote for that guy?
Because the policies that he was going to or said he would implement, I agreed with more. Well, his policy on the border, many of his economic policies.
What economic?
I agree with that more.
What economic policies? Giving the biggest tax breaks to the top 1% in the big beautiful bill. You think that's a really
border
good
policy? Sending out ICE in regular clothes with masks to take moms and children and husbands and grandfathers and deport them to any country they want, not even the country of origin. So you're okay with his border policy?
I'm okay with. Let me clarify. When I say I'm okay with the policy, I'm not saying I'm okay with 100% of every aspect of that policy. I mean, you'd have to break it down scenario by scenario for me to tell you whether or not I agree with it or not. I agree with him closing the border. I agree with things he says he wants to do with the economy. So far, he hasn't done them, and I'm not happy about that. But that's what I'm saying. I agree with some.
So it's okay to boot the immigrants who built this country, the immigrants who came and picked strawberries and picked cotton and built houses and bridges. It's okay to just give them the boot now because we don't want them here?
I'm sorry. Are you saying legal immigrants or illegal immigrants?
No, I'm talking about illegal immigrants, millions of them, who built this country and did jobs that I will talk about myself. I'm not going to speak for you doing jobs that I would never do. So milking cows, waking up at 5 a.m. to pick strawberries from a tree.
I agree, but this is a bigger issue, David. You care about the rule of law, so you claim. You don't want people to break the law in the United States of America, yet you have no problem voting for a 34-count felon. Doesn't that make you a hypocrite?
Well, no, I'll explain why.
Oh, because that was a political prosecution. It was political prosecution, and they overcharged him, and it was a kangaroo court. I know exactly what you're going to say, David, but it doesn't change the fact that he's a 34-count felon. Are you okay with that?
You're going to ask me a question. You're not going to
No, because I've asked you that before, and you give me the same stupid answer.
I'll ask you a question. Do you think America in its entirety should be white? Do you believe it should only be white and that everybody else should get the boot?
What does that have to do with anything?
No, I'm asking to find out what kind of where your mentality. You said ask a question. That's my question. Do you believe that America should be completely white and everybody else needs to go?
No.
Okay, so David, I'm glad to hear that. Are you okay with ICE agents deporting people, some who are nonviolent criminals, and sending them to an El Salvador prison, to places of that nature when they have never been convicted of a violent crime in their life just because they're undocumented? Are you comfortable with that, sir?
So just to be clear, your question specifically is I'm okay with ICE bringing people to El Salvadorian prisons.
And Libya and South Sudan. And Rwanda, is that okay?
My specific question, sir, is if you are a non-violent criminal and you happen to be undocumented, are you okay with sending those people to some of the highest maximum security prisons in the world with no due process? Are you okay with that?
No.
That's exactly, you just said you liked his immigration policy. That's exactly what Donald Trump is doing.
I told you, I said I like some of it and don't like other parts of it. You're conveniently not mentioning that.
What part do you like?
I'm sure.
How about you start with that, Brian?
I'm sure, well, real, if you don't mind, I'm sure if Kamala won or any other Democrat won, I'm assuming, Brian, you wouldn't agree with 100% of what they're doing.
Kamala Harris would never wrong. Kamala Harris would never have ripped up parts of the Constitution and changed the wording in the Constitution. It's very clear.
No, she would have just told us the border was secure when 20 million people.
Not true. Not true. In fact,
she wouldn't violate people's rights.
Not true. In fact, Kamala Harris was one of the people at the forefront of putting a bipartisan bill together that your orange turd that you voted for told them not to vote against.
Republicans voted it down. That's a fact.
So you're making gross assumptions that are absolutely factually not true, and you're making excuses for the orange man who you voted for, who's not giving people due process.
How am I making excuses? I just told you I completely disagree.
So tell me how Kamala Harris. So tell me how Kamala Harris would break parts of our Constitution the way Donald Trump has and break the law. Tell me.
I didn't say she'd break parts of the Constitution.
Is Donald Trump doing that? Is Donald Trump doing that?
Part of it, yes, he is doing it in part, and I completely disagree with that. How many times do I have to tell you that I disagree with a lot of what he's doing?
Okay, so what?
I agree with a lot
so
of
you
what
don't.
he's doing.
You agree.
You agree.
So what else is he doing? What else is he doing? You mentioned immigration. You were very sketchy on that. You agree with some parts, some other parts. Name me something else.
Sketchy at all.
Name me something else.
Talk about it point by point, but you didn't want to hear it.
Oh no,
you
didn't go point by point.
You didn't go point by point. You didn't make it clear.
We want to go point by point. What is the things that you like about the immigration policy? Name one thing that you like about it. You said they closed the border.
Yeah, and that's the one thing. You asked me to name one thing. That's one of the things that I like about it. The Remain in Mexico policy. I mean, the amount of illegals that have come into this country now are a fraction of what they were during the last 4 years. I mean, is that not significant?
So now that it's down to zero, how do people get citizenship? You think they should go through the courts and they should go and try to get their visas and their green cards, or they should just get kicked out? Because Trump's policy is just kick them out.
You're saying who? Kick illegals out? Or
there are people that have a court date who are here on an asylum to see a judge. They're canceling their court hearing while they're in the front lobby and then arresting them and deporting them. You agree with that? Because that's his policy. That's a fact. You want to talk about a point? That's a point.
I'll say it again. There's a lot. That's something I disagree with.
It seems like a lot you disagree. You don't think this has anything to do. So David,
it's like 9 out of 10.
So David, like 9 out of 10 things. So David, you don't think this has anything to do with skin color. So let me ask you a question. When Donald Trump and his administration allowed 100% white people from South Africa to come into this country, full asylum, is he doing that for brown people as well, or do you think that's just a coincidence?
Well, I'm sorry. Did you say full asylum?
There are 10 people from South Africa that they welcomed in here with open arms and that were seeking asylum. Do you think their skin color had something to do with that, or you think that's just a coincidence? Is he doing that for brown people as well?
He's not doing it for people from the southern border because tens of millions of them came in illegally.
So why is it that they were 10 people that happened to be 100% white from South Africa? Do you think that's a coincidence?
Well, to my understanding, in the South African case, they were being persecuted by their government.
Why were they 10 white people? Why no brown people? You think that's just a coincidence?
Yeah, but that's why the people from Venezuela and El Salvador come here for the same reason.
Okay,
they're persecuted.
David. So, David, you're not willing to.
You can only take a certain amount. Right. You're not willing to admit what? I'm literally answering the question in good faith. You're asking, and I'm telling you my opinion on it. Look, I'm not saying I know all the facts. I'm just telling you my opinion with respectfully, Brian. You're perfectly, you can disagree. That's fine. But my point is
thank you.
Again, millions of people came. I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry. Millions of people came into the country legally through the southern border. So no, they shouldn't be granted any sort of amnesty or anything. That's absurd.
They're granted court dates. They're trying to become citizens. That's what I'm
All
trying
right.
to
So
tell
you think illegals are just a huge problem in this country. Can you name me something else you think Donald Trump has done in the first 5 or 6 months that you think is really good for the country?
Sure. I like the fact of what he's trying to do with some of the tariffs. He hasn't implemented them yet. So,
wait, hold on.
I disagree.
He hasn't done that. And by the way, the American consumer paying for it.
He hasn't done
okay. So name me something that he's done. He's had 6 months.
Well, I just did. I said he's trying to push these tariffs. Some of them I disagree with, and some of them I do agree with.
Got you. I'm trying to.
Do you think that he's chickened out? Hasn't he chickened out on the tariffs? I mean, we only have a couple of deals. One's with UK, and essentially it's the same deal we've always had.
Yeah.
And then he bragged about Vietnam and saying he got a deal with them and got them to trade for free, which was always that's the Biden.
David
agreement.
On the phone, who is a Donald Trump supporter. I asked him to name some things that Trump done that's good, and he says, well, he's trying to do this. I didn't ask you to name things that he's trying to do. Do you think, since you care about the economy...
Things take time.
Things take time, sure, okay. So since you care about the economy and you claim to, do you think giving the biggest tax breaks to the top 1%, which is in the big and beautiful bill in the history of this country, is good for the economy?
No.
It's not. Okay, so that's kind of a big part of his big and beautiful bill. Do you think when 10 to 15 million Americans lose their Medicaid, do you think that's good for the economy? Taking $10 billion away from food stamps?
How about children?
Yeah, you think that's
children not having meals in school anymore because they cut the SNAP program by $300 million?
Are any of those things good, David, for the economy?
I'm sorry, $300 billion.
Since you care so much about the economy and human beings, are you okay with 15 million people losing their health care coverage?
No, I'm not okay with people.
You're not okay with that. Okay.
But, can I explain? Well, let me explain. First of all, I don't believe all the negative things that are being said about the bill because they're being said. I take it with a grain of salt what people say. I don't believe all the good things that are allegedly said in the bill and all the bad things that are said about it because I don't believe the media.
No, facts are facts, whether you believe them or not.
The media is not. The media is not saying it. There are actually MAGA Republicans on Fox News that have admitted that at least 10 million Americans are going to lose their Medicaid coverage. So that's a lie. What you just said. It's not just the media. It's actually
excuse me. Are they not the media,
sir?
You just said.
Well, Tom Tillis is not the media, and he spoke against it, and he said it was terrible.
It's in the bill, and even Langford and Tillis and other Republicans have admitted that at least 10 million Americans are going to lose their health care coverage. Those aren't members of the media or people that you listen to like Jesse Waters. Those are actually elected officials and Republicans.
And they weren't going to vote for it till they put the knee pads on.
Yeah.
They put the knee pads on, and they went and they voted for it anyway. By their own admission, the Republicans said it was a terrible bill.
So you agree that Donald Trump is probably...
I don't disagree.
You agree that this is a terrible bill. You agree that Donald Trump is most likely in the Epstein files, and that's why they won't release it. You agree that we shouldn't be deporting nonviolent criminals to El Salvador prisons and not giving them due process, but you're still full-on support. But you're still...
He'd probably vote for him again. You'd vote for him again, wouldn't you?
You would, wouldn't you? You'd vote for Donald Trump again.
That's okay. You can say we know. You can say.
I mean, it depends on who he's running against.
Yeah, you wouldn't vote for that brown lady, though, would you? You wouldn't vote for that brown lady.
Right. Everything's about race.
Yeah, no, with you it is.
It seems like
with you everything's about race because all you want to talk about is how undocumented immigrants are ruining your life. How are they ruining your life?
Race one time. Mention one time I brought up race.
Yeah, I find it interesting that your go-to is always undocumented immigrants when every per capita an American citizen has the better chance of committing a crime against somebody like you than an undocumented immigrant.
And I bet it's never affected his life in a negative way.
How are undocumented immigrants affecting your life in a negative way? Please answer that, sir.
Well,
one example.
Is that a serious question?
Yes, it is. Answer it.
That's a very serious question.
Answer it.
I'll explain. Okay, sure, I'm willing to answer. When you flood a country with millions and millions of people, it has serious... Okay, 20 million people walk in the country.
It's not flooded, and there's a lot of things that they do that help the country, not hurt the country, and I will gladly explain that with you, the positives that many of these people bring to this country.
So they're allowed to come in here just because they allegedly help the country?
Didn't say that.
What?
Didn't say that.
You can break the law.
Okay,
well,
again,
that was the policy. That was the policy at the time. And let me ask you this. If you love Trump so much, how did 2016 to 2020 go by and no wall was built, no immigration policy, no stopping the immigrants? They did nothing. He said, I'm going to build a big, beautiful wall, and I'm going to have Mexico pay for it. And you know what happened? people like you believed that he was going to build a big giant wall with a beautiful door in it to let the people that he wanted. But you know what? That never happened. So 4 years went by, and Trump administration did nothing about immigration. So when you talk about decades and millions of people, what did he do? Nothing.
David, I'm going to add something to what Leonard just said.
Let me just finish one thing. And he had the Congress and the Senate for 3 years. For 3 years, he had both.
David, I'm going to add something that I think is very, very important, because you talk about the rule of law and you talk about breaking the law, yet you had no problem. Once again, it's an issue of credibility, voting for a guy who pardoned a bunch of January 6th insurrectionists who beat cops and called them.
No problem.
You're talking about the rule of law, yet you voted for a guy who called them hostages and patriots, and a guy who is a convicted 34-count felon. So don't preach to us about how much you care about the rule of law and people breaking the law when you wanted the leader, you voted and you still support the leader of the free world, who has no problem pardoning those who beat police officers with their own batons. And by the way, those people on January 6th were not undocumented immigrants. You know who they were? They were white Donald Trump supporters and white supremacists. And he called them hostages and patriots.
Conversation before, I told you I disagree with what he did with that. I agree with some of them.
He pardoned people that pled guilty. People pled guilty in the court of law, and he pardoned them.
Don't preach to us about rule of law when the bottom line is.
When did I preach about rule of law? You're the one who
were talking about illegal immigrants. You were talking about undocumented immigrants.
You have a problem
like it was a big crime.
People that have lived in this country for decades, that pay their taxes.
Correct.
They might not. Excuse me. They might not have the right paperwork, but they've never committed a violent crime. But you seem to have more a problem with them than people who beat cops on January 6th, who the guy who you voted for called them hostages and patriots. And that makes you a hypocrite, David. Repeat after me. I'm David, and I'm a hypocrite.
It doesn't make me a hypocrite.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Yes, it does, because
Let me explain to you why you're a hypocrite. Here's why you're a hypocrite. Every single time me and Leonard talk to MAGA supporters and say, why did you vote for Trump? Well, because he's getting all those illegal immigrants out of the country, many of whom have never committed a violent crime in their life. But you see these people more as a threat than people who beat cops on January 6th, who were chanting, hang Mike Pence, who the guy who you voted for called them hostages and patriots. And then you say, well, I don't agree with that, but let's talk about those undocumented
immigrants. And he couldn't
name
one thing that affected him negatively, but if you're going to blame Biden and you're going to blame Obama, and you're going to blame George Bush and talk about decades and millions, then you know what? You got to blame Donald Trump, because he was president for 4 years.
David.
And he had the House and the Senate for 3 years on his side and did nothing.
David,
talk about a stupid wall that was never built.
David, that's what makes you a hypocrite. I appreciate you calling in, and I appreciate the conversation, but
facts,
you are not consistent, and you are a hypocrite. Let's move on to the next caller.
But yeah, I have to agree that he's probably all over that.
Yeah.
That report.
So I agree with you, Bud. Do you think this is going to get worse? Like, how do you think Donald Trump is going to retaliate?
As usual, he always tries something to poke somebody with or threaten them, and that's his game.
So, Bud, am I wrong in saying this? When Elon Musk tweets that out, is that a nice way? I don't think there is a nice way of saying it, but is it another way of saying Donald Trump sodomized young teenage girls? That's really what he's saying here, right?
Well, that's what it looks like.
I mean, that's really what he's saying. He's basically calling Donald Trump a pedophile who rapes children. I mean, that's when you say you're all over the Epstein files, that's really what you're saying, right? And we heard all along from all these right-wingers out there that the Hollywood pedophiles and Bill Clinton, but now it turns out that the one guy who donated $300 to $400 million to the Trump to the Trump campaign is the guy saying Donald Trump is the pedophile.
Hillary's pizza place.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, man. I think Trump is going to be questioned on this for weeks and for months, and he should be. Let's see those Epstein files. Let's see who's lying. If you're not
transparency, right?
Yeah.
Transparency.
I would say this. Okay. I would say this. If the White House is claiming that Elon Musk is lying, release the Epstein files. Release the Epstein files. Why have you not released them then? That's what I would say. Pretty simple, right, guys?
Whoever doubted that Trump isn't all over the Epstein situation? I mean, these guys were as thick as thieves for years. Of course he's involved. Of course he was doing whatever. I don't even want to think about what he was doing with these young girls. But no non-Trump supporter ever doubted for a second that he's involved. And he got elected president anyway.
Can I ask you, Brett, how does Fox
yeah,
News cover? How does Fox News, OAN, and Newsmax and right-wing media cover this story? How do they cover this story?
They won't.
They have to.
Fake news.
They have to, but they're going to glaze over it, and it's going to be like an afterthought, and it's just going to be called lying. That's all. They're just going to say he's lying, he's bitter, and it does sound like that. It's completely childish.
They all love, I think you're right. They all love Elon Musk until the last 24 to 48 hours. Now all of a sudden, Elon's the worst, and they'll call him left whack job.
He was the savior for the government. He was going to save us all this money, and now look.
Trump just gave him an award in the Oval Office.
A gold key to nowhere.
The guy who just was given a gold key in the Oval Office is claiming that the president of the United States is a pedophile.
What do you think it's going to take for Elon to show the receipts? Because he's got copies of that Epstein. He's got copies of everything. He had the key to the White House.
I don't know if he has copies. That I don't know.
I bet he does.
But I can tell you right now, if Donald Trump was smart, which he's not, he would just stop. He would just give Elon a call and say, okay, we'll do what you want to do. I just don't think Donald Trump's ego will allow him to do that. And I think it's only going to get worse. That's what I think is going to happen.
And I think even though Elon might not have it, he has all those computer geeks, right? That could probably dig it up.
Exactly.
Why won't you guys release
everything on all of us?
Here,
so why not that?
Again, all the fingerprints and the evidence points to the fact that Elon Musk is telling the truth. As I said before, during the Maxwell trial, Donald Trump was on the Epstein flight log at least 6 times. We also have Jeffrey Epstein literally on audio saying that Donald Trump at one time was his best friend. So I think the paper trail, certainly, I hate to side with Elon Musk on anything, but I certainly side with him on this. Donald Trump just tweeted this out.
Oh, boy.
He said, I don't mind Elon turning against me, but he should have done so months ago. This is one of the greatest bills ever presented to Congress. It's a record cut in expenses. All right, so we know that. Yeah, that's what he said. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Thank you for the call. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. I cannot wait until the next White House press briefing.
I wanted to say about Elon Musk. Trump is rich, billionaire. He cannot bully Elon Musk. He has more money than Trump. He thinks, he could just bully Elon Musk. He can't bully him.
You're right.
Elon.
Trump's money is all leveraged. It's all in other stuff. Elon has accessible money, so you're right about that.
I'm going to tell you this right now. If Donald Trump keeps tweeting at Elon and egging him on, there's some more bad stuff that's going to be coming out here. By the way, Ashley St. Clair. If you don't know who Ashley St. Clair is, she's the woman who had a child with Elon Musk, and then Elon paid her to shut her up and, is not in her life and all that stuff. So Ashley St. Clair just tweeted out, hey, real Donald Trump, let me know if you need any breakup advice. This is getting entertaining here. I cannot wait to watch the news tonight and see how right-wing media covers this.
I said something about Elon going towards the Democrats, but I'm just telling you right now, hearing all this and getting the popcorn out, there's a movie back in the 80s, you and I aren't that far apart, called Trading Places. Dan Aykroyd.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you drive a rich person crazy? You make them poor. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be Elon Musk's plan. He's going to start trying to buy the Democrat side. He's going to bankrupt Trump. Mark my words.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of what Elon Musk does is the way Donald Trump responds. And so far, Donald Trump is not being very strategic in this. In the last hour or so, he's claimed that he's fired Elon Musk and he's trying to make Elon Musk look bad. But in theory, or in turn, it's making Donald Trump look bad because Musk just keeps going and going and going.
He's making him look stupid because everybody knows he didn't do that. We saw it.
Why won't they release the Epstein files? I said this a month ago. Remember when they had all those right-wing idiots with those binders in front of the White House? I think it was in front of some Capitol building. And then they didn't release anything. And then when Donald Trump was asked about this, are you going to release the John F. Kennedy files? Are you going to? Yeah, he was all for it. And then all of a sudden when they asked him about the Epstein files, he stuttered. Why is that? Geez, I wonder.
And I'm going to tell you one thing: any other skeletons in Trump's closet for the last 4 months is going to be coming out that I guarantee you that Elon knows about.
I tend to agree with you on that. I think that's a very good point. Let's not just talk about the Epstein files. I think Elon's going to be releasing some other stuff too. Very stupid strategic move by Trump to be going at Elon like this.
And this is why in normal world before Trump, politics was a game and people got over on people, but no one ever would think of saying, hey, let's let this guy run for president. He's probably a pedophile. He's ripped off people. He has court dates everywhere. He's a felon. Oh, let's make him president. But now this situation is crazy.
Mo, this is the danger of doing business or whatever Donald Trump was doing with Elon, with the richest man in the world. This is the dangers of being bought. This is why Donald Trump is so dangerous to this country and to the world, because he can be bought. I think, Ronnie, there might be a possibility that maybe Donald Trump might be in those files. What do you think about that, sir?
We don't know anything because
you don't know. Exactly. You don't know. So why is it a bad thing to release the files then? So maybe we all would know, Ronnie. Let's go to Ronnie. Ronnie is next up on PTL. Hello, Ronnie.
Hi, Brian, and your partner there. That guy a few calls ago, he sounded just like you. Answer the question. Answer the question. That was great. He sounded just like you, Brian. Answer the question.
I mean, I don't know what the question was that he was trying to ask. He asked me what the name of my producer was, which is totally academic to the topics that we are talking about today.
Ronnie, do you believe in Trump derangement syndrome?
Why do you say that?
Oh, okay.
I was wondering if
was funny. Answer the question.
I was wondering if that was if you think it's a real thing, or does it affect MAGA and they're just saying it affects other people, but they're really the deranged ones, or do you believe that the Democrats are the deranged ones? He got quiet. Why did he get quiet?
No one needs to be deranged. I just think that the people that listen to and follow Trump have a better idea and better thoughts on their head as to a better country.
Okay, so how are we a better country under Donald Trump? Let's talk about that, since you would probably claim you're one of those
name
people.
One thing.
What has he done to make us a better country, sir?
Hey, Brian, what are you going to use 2016 talking points on?
Yes,
Ronnie,
yes.
You're going to answer my question.
2020 and
Ronnie,
2024.
Okay, hold on. Ronnie, I know you're trying to be funny. You're not. Let's try to have a real conversation if you're capable. Okay, Ronnie, because you're not funny. You're obviously a Trump supporter. You think Trump is doing good things for the country. I'm asking you to name some things. Okay, so let me finish, and then it's your turn. Okay, sir, that's how it works. So, Ronnie, name me something you think Donald Trump has done in the first 5 months or so that you think is really good for the country, and then we'll talk about it. Go ahead, Ronnie.
I will answer it as long as you don't interrupt me.
This is my show.
Can't guarantee that.
Ronnie, I'm going to repeat something that I've said on this show before. This is my show and not yours. If I want to hang up on you, I will do so. Nobody forced you to call into the show. So stop with your, prearranged, don't do this to me. Don't be a snowflake and answer the question.
Well, if you make an intelligent argument.
What has Donald Trump done in the first 5 months that you think is good for the country? Name me two things. Two things, Ronnie.
Go.
I like the tariffs that he put on the other countries.
What tariffs did he put on the other countries? Can you be specific? What tariffs are you referring to?
Well, all the tariffs that he's charging other people to bring their good stuff.
Okay, so Ronnie, when you say you like the tariffs he's implemented with other countries, you have to be specific. There are a lot of countries out there. Name me a country and name me the tariff that because if you say you like a tariff, surely you could name the percentage in the country, right? So tell me, can you name one?
It's more like the fact that I like the theory that
No. Ronnie, okay, Ronnie, hang on. Let's okay, so Ronnie, I didn't ask you about a theory. I need you to focus, okay, Ronnie? I'm trying to have a conversation with you. You said you like the tariffs he's imposed on other countries. In order for us to have a conversation, we have to talk about one specific country and one specific tariff that you would be referring to instead of making generalized statements. Ronnie, name me a specific country. Ronnie, I need you to stop talking and I need you to listen to the question and pay attention, okay? Try to focus, all right? Name me the country and the tariff, and then let's talk about it, okay? Go ahead, Ronnie.
Right, you name a tariff and you name a country.
No. I'm not the one who brought up the tariffs. You did. I'm not the one who said, I like or don't like a tariff. The question was to you, Ronnie. I said, what has Donald Trump done that you like? You said tariffs. Okay. For example, if you asked me some of the things that I like under Joe Biden, I would say bipartisan infrastructure bill. We needed our roads fixed, our airports, our bridges. Okay. It helps travel. It helps tourism. The Chips and Science Act, for example, I would say, among capping insulin at $35, Plan B and Plan D on most people's Medicaid, millions of Americans paying less for their insulin. You see how that works, Ronnie? I name a policy and then I'm able to be specific. You saying you like the tariffs, I like those tariffs in general theory, is not an answer. When you say you like something, be specific on what you like, okay? So I'll give you one more opportunity since you failed on the tariffs. Give me something else. Ronnie, what do you like that Donald Trump has done in the first 5 months that you can be specific about? And then we could have a conversation about it, Ronnie, because you failed the first time. Go ahead, Ronnie.
All right. I also like the fact that as of now, he has not brought out the Epstein files.
Hey, can
hold on? Let's just respond to that.
Can I help him out?
Yeah, let's just respond to this real quickly. He likes the fact that the Epstein files haven't been released. Why is that a good thing, Ronnie?
Well, I can't see anything good happening out of it.
So you don't. So okay. So hold on. So knowing that there might be some people out there that molested children, you don't think it would be a good thing to find out who those people are and hold them to account
and sold them?
That's not a good thing.
Well, your partner there is a former cop.
I don't care.
Isn't there things that cops shouldn't be talking about?
No.
And they
really?
Be doing
There's things cops should be talking about.
What are you,
Ronnie? Let me help you out. Can I help him out? Let me give you a clue. Let's talk about Vietnam tariffs, because we did make a deal with Vietnam. Are you aware what deal we made with Vietnam? No. So let me tell you what happened. Trump said that he made a deal with them for no tariffs, and he's touting what a great job he did. But did you know that there never were any?
But Leonard, he doesn't even really.
But there never were any.
But this guy doesn't even know what a tariff is. Let's go back to. I hear what you're saying.
Who gets taxed?
Yeah,
who gets taxed with a tariff?
He doesn't even know what a tariff is, or the American consumer has to pay for it. But let's go back to Epstein for a minute, because this is interesting. Ronnie just said he thinks of all the things that he thinks Donald Trump did well, he names the fact that the Epstein files weren't released. Ronnie, so you don't think people should be held to account for molesting children? Is that what you're saying, Ronnie?
Well, I wonder what his background is.
Ronnie, you don't think
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
So what are you saying?
Said that.
I didn't say that.
Oh, well, so what are you saying then?
Again, I think that there's certain things like the police work, and that should not be let out to the public.
The police work. No, hold on. The police work is not being let out to the public. I have no idea what you're talking about.
He's talking about an investigation and keeping it private. However, that's only when you're doing the investigation. When the investigation's done, then it's public information, and that's everybody.
Hey,
that's
Ronnie,
not just Trump.
Hey, Ronnie, doofuses like you for years were. Hey, Ronnie, listen, get the MAGA wax out of your ears and listen, okay? Mr. Epstein Jr., why don't you pay attention, okay? So for years, the Trump administration, that means you need to shut up, otherwise I'm going to pod you down again, okay? Okay. For years, the Epstein files were talked about from people like you. It's going to be Bill Clinton. It's going to be Democrats. But then all of a sudden we learned that Donald Trump was once best friends with Jeffrey Epstein, and he was on the flight log 7 times. And Epstein was on Donald Trump's private jet. Do you think, Ronnie, there might be a possibility that maybe Donald Trump might be in those files? What do you think about that, sir?
We don't know anything because
you don't know. Exactly. You don't know. So why is it a bad thing to release the files then? So maybe we all would know, Ronnie. Don't you think it's a good thing to expose the people who were molesting children? Why do you think? Okay, give me one legitimate reason why they don't want to release this list and these files. Give me a reason. Go ahead, Ronnie. Give me a legitimate reason.
Fine. You don't know if he's been on that list either.
Give me a legitimate reason. Give me a reason why you don't think they're releasing the files then.
Because they're doing their investigation.
No, the investigation is over. Wrong. The investigation is over. Wrong. Let's try for the second prize.
I wish he would make a point. I really do.
Yeah. Give me another reason. The investigation is over. So you're wrong about that. Give me a legitimate reason why. Give me a legitimate reason in your opinion, which you won't be able to come up with, why they won't release the files. I'll give you another shot at it, pal.
Okay. So how about if I give you a different topic?
No, you're staying on the same topic. Nope. Sorry, you're not going to get away with this. You said it's a good thing You're the one who brought it up. You said it's a good thing that they're not releasing the Epstein files. Give me one legitimate reason why you think they're not releasing the files. Go. I'm giving you an opportunity. The investigation was over, so you're wrong about that. Go ahead.
I don't know.
You don't. Right. You don't know because you're an idiot.
Answer.
Yeah.
Can
Thank you.
I ask a question, Ronnie? Let me ask you something.
Government, and that's not my thing.
How do you think they convicted Maxwell with no information? Why don't you explain to me how that happened?
He doesn't even know who Maxwell is. He doesn't even know who Maxwell is. You think this guy knows who Maxwell is? He doesn't even know how tariffs work.
But they had to have the information.
Go ahead, buddy. What else were you going to say? You sound like a really smart guy. Go ahead.
I know how tariffs work.
Okay,
who has to pay for it? Who gets taxed? Who gets taxed? Who gets taxed on tariffs? Huh?
The other country.
No.
This guy, you know what? I've had it with you, brother. I've had it with you. The American consumer is the one that has to pay. You don't even know how tariffs work. You don't know who Maxwell is. You couldn't name anything that Donald Trump has accomplished in his first 5 months. You are an imbecile, and you are your typical Donald Trump supporter. You have crap for brains. You clearly are not educated. And have a nice day, sir. You're Donald Trump's base. Holy schmagoli.
That was interesting. Wow.